Hey everyone, today I'm going to compare the Samsung Note 20 to the Samsung S21 Ultra to the iPhone 12 Pro Max. This video is for those who are thinking of spending a bit more money to buy a better phone. So in this video, I'm going to tell you which one is the better deal for the money. At the time of recording this video, the iPhone 13 has just been announced. I am not sure what specifications that phone will have, but it's going to be better compared to the iPhone 12 obviously, but I don't think it's going to be significantly better in the sense that it's going to improve your productivity significantly. So this comparison review should still hold up even with the iPhone 13. So before I start, let me just say that I consider myself to be a budget conscious consumer. Whenever possible, I would try to buy second-hand phones or refurbished phones because you can save like a few hundreds of dollars. So this Samsung Note 20 is actually a second-hand unit. The street price currently is about 1,000 Singapore dollars. The S21 Ultra is a review unit on loan from Samsung. The street price is about $1,300 Singapore currency. And the iPhone 12 Pro Max is around $1,650 and above. So this is noticeably more expensive compared to these two phones. And also this comes with 128 gigs of storage, whereas these two come with 256 gigs of storage. By the way, my review is not going to be very technical. I am not going to show you benchmarks, bar charts, or the full list of specifications. You can find all those online. I am also not going to talk about gaming, even though these three phones are very capable of playing top-tier mobile games. I have Genshin Impact here, and all these three phones can play top-tier games very smoothly. So what I want to talk about is actually the features and the user experience you can expect from paying this much money. So let's talk about the design and the body and the build quality first. So the Note 20 has a plastic body, however the build quality is still very solid. These two phones here, the S21 Ultra and the iPhone 12 Pro Max, they are metal body. The build quality is going to be more premium, but the build quality here is also very solid. I have no problems with that. And also this phone is actually noticeably lighter compared to these two phones. The display is 6.7 inch. On the back we have a lot of cameras. So for the Note 20, there is the ultra wide, wide and tele 3x or 4x, I cannot remember exactly. For the S21 Ultra, there is ultra wide, wide and tele and the 10x zoom. If you don't need the 10x zoom, you can just go with the much cheaper S21 or S21 Plus, depending on which screen size you like. The 10x tele zoom is not that useful personally for me, because when it comes to recording video, if you're going to hand hold this phone and record the video at 10x, the footage is going to be very shaky, even though there is actually OIS for the 10x zoom. But if you hand hold a super telephoto lens, it's still going to give you really shaky footage. So you have to use a tripod with the 10x zoom lens, and if you don't see yourself bringing a tripod out to use with the 10x zoom lens, there is really no reason to buy the S21 Ultra for that lens. For the iPhone, you also have the ultra wide, wide and tele 3x tele zoom. Location of the bottom speaker on the Samsung Note 20 is not ideal. So when you hold the phone horizontally like this, your right hand can block the speakers because they are there at the corner. However, if you turn this around so that the speakers are up here, you don't block the speakers, but to change the volume, you have to adjust the volume buttons down there. It takes some time to get used to. For the S21 Ultra, the speakers are here, so you can hold the phone like this, adjust the volume buttons easily with your index finger, and you won't block the audio. This is good placement. For the iPhone, if you hold it horizontally like this, the speakers are here. There are two speakers here, so you won't block both, but the volume buttons are down there. If you hold it the other way, I guess it's easier to adjust the volume. But anyway, I prefer the volume and the speaker location on the S21 Ultra. Because when I put my iPhone here on the keyboard, I have to put it in such a way that the camera is up there. I cannot put it like this where the camera is down there. So if I put it like this so that the camera is up here, the volume buttons are inaccessible because they are right down there at the bottom. And if I put it like this, the camera is hitting the edge here. These three phones have AMOLED displays, so the colors look terrific. The aspect ratio for the displays for these two phones, it's around 20:9, whereas for the iPhone you can see it's much wider. In terms of how they feel in hand, I would say the narrower phone actually feels better to use in hand. You can use this with one hand very easily, whereas for the iPhone 12 Pro Max, it's a two-hand phone unless you buy the smaller iPhone, in which case you can use with one hand easily. I like the display on these two phones because this is a flat display. There are no curved edges. The S21 Ultra has curved edges on the left and right side. I prefer phones with just flat screens, so as good as this screen is, I don't like it, mostly because of the curved edge. Having said that, I didn't have any problems typing or tapping on icons or things that are near the edges. There are no misclicks, so I guess it's not a big deal. The notch on the iPhone is quite big, whereas for the Samsung phones, they are using this punch hole camera. When you're watching videos and you don't zoom in, the notch is actually not visible, but when you zoom in, you can see the notch there. It's going to take some time to get used to this, but it's not a deal breaker. Refresh rate on the displays on the S21 phones is 120 Hz, on the Note 20 is 60 Hz, on the iPhone 12 it's 60 Hz. So with 120 Hz refresh rate, you get very smooth animation when it comes to scrolling web pages. It's very smooth, but it's not like it's laggy when you are scrolling web pages on a 60 Hz display. It's still very smooth. So not having 120 Hz is not a big deal. It's not a downside. Battery life for these three phones is excellent. Having said that, you get longer battery life with the Note 20 and the S21 Ultra. I can use these two phones for one full day until the next morning or afternoon. For the 12 Pro Max, I can use it until the next morning. All three phones have dust and water resistance. There is no 3.5mm audio jack. There is no micro SD card slots this time for the Samsung phones. Anyway, if you want to upgrade the storage on the Samsung phone, the pricing is still quite reasonable. Whereas if you want to upgrade storage on the iPhone, Apple really wants to rip you off. So in terms of pricing, Samsung does give you better specifications. You get 8 gigs of RAM versus 6 gigs here, and again you get better pricing for the storage. With the Samsung phones, you have USB-C and you can connect the phones to your computer directly to use your phone as an external storage. The iPhone is still using the old Lightning port. If you want to transfer files from your phone to your computer, you have to do so wirelessly using AirDrop, which is actually quite convenient. However, if you want to transfer a large number of files, I would say good luck to you, because if you do so wirelessly, It's quite slow, and if for some reason your connection breaks, you have to check manually what are the files that have been successfully transferred over. File management on Android is way better compared to file management on iOS with their stupid files app. Let me give you some examples. So if you transfer your file to your computer or vice versa and the connection gets cut off, the file will be grayed out on the iPhone and you won't be able to delete that half transferred file because you cannot select that file. It's very irritating. You don't get that problem with Android file management. And also, if you see an MP4 file in the Files app and you tap on it, it will just give you the name of the MP4 file. It will not play the file because it is not capable of playing the MP4 file from the Files app. How retarded is that? Find me another phone where you cannot play MP4 video files simply by tapping on the icon. So those are the type of stupid things iPhone users have to deal with. And when you go online to ask how you can play an MP4 file on the iPhone, you see iPhone users get defensive. They will give you a lot of alternatives, workaround. But the thing is, why do you need those alternatives and workaround when you can just simply tap on the icon and play that stupid MP4 video? I can go on and on about stupid problems with the file management system on iPhones, but I guess if you don't work with files, it's not a problem. If you take notes, just know that these two Samsung phones are great at taking notes. So the Samsung Note 20 comes with a stylus, the S Pen, but this S Pen is actually quite small, so it's not that great when it comes to taking notes for long periods of time. For the S21, there is no S Pen included, so you have to buy one separately. I recommend you get one that has a thicker diameter so that it's more comfortable to hold. Note-taking performance is fantastic on the Samsung phones. This is the Samsung Notes app. And since this display has 120Hz refresh rate, there is no noticeable latency. So when it comes to writing, it's very responsive, it's very fluid, and the overall handwriting and note-taking performance is very positive, very satisfactory. And this is the Samsung Notes app on the Samsung Note phone with 60Hz display. The latency is very minimal, it's not noticeable. So handwriting performance is pretty good here as well. Note-taking on the iPhone, as you can see, is bad. It's actually very bad because there are no styluses designed for note-taking on the iPhone. If you go with those digital styluses where you have a very small pen tip here, where you can see the line beneath the pen tip, you will get wavy lines like this, so obviously this is not good. And if you go with those rubber tip styluses, the handwriting performance is actually much better. You can see you can write better, but rubber tip styluses have very big tips here, so when you're writing you can't really see what's beneath. The other option is to use a disc tip stylus, and the handwriting performance for this is slightly better, but is still quite bad because you always have to adjust the disc here so that it's flat on the surface so that you can write smoothly. I've tested a lot of styluses over the years and I have not seen one that works properly on the iPhone. I switched to using an iPhone with the iPhone 11 Pro Max because I wanted to do more video recording on the phone, and at that point in time it seems like the video recording capabilities of the iPhone compared to other Android phones is actually much better. What I'm looking out for when it comes to recording video with a phone is I must be able to handhold the phone and record without shaky footage. and there should not be any auto-focusing issue or jitter or the jelly wobble when recording, and iPhone does really well in this area when it comes to recording video. I am pleasantly surprised to see that the Samsung Note 20 and the S21 phones, they have really good video recording capabilities as well. So same thing, I was able to handhold the phone and pan around this bicycle without any wobble or jelly effect, and there is no auto-focusing issue. And surprisingly, the built-in microphones are quite good as well, so I don't have to connect an external mic to record audio. From what I can see, with a side-by-side comparison, the video quality is the same for these two phones, actually for these three phones. So there really isn't any advantage when it comes to using the iPhone to record videos. However, there is one deal breaker with the Samsung phone when it comes to recording video. There is no option for you to select or record at 25 frames per second or 50 frames per second. Here in Singapore, the frequency of the electricity runs at a factor of 25, so I have to match the frequency of the video to the electricity. Otherwise, when I film lights, there will be flickering lights. Using third-party camera apps, I can set the frame rate to 25 frames per second. However, there are some issues. So for example, with this app that I'm using, which is called Open Camera, I don't have access to all the cameras behind. And also, for some reason, the optical image stabilization doesn't work, and there is no way for you to turn on OIS. You can use electronic stabilization. You can set the settings to use EIS, but it doesn't work as well compared to OIS. And when I flip over to use the selfie camera, there is also no OIS, and here I am not able to record at full 4K UHD. So not being able to set the recording frame rate to 25 frames per second using the default Samsung camera app is almost a deal breaker for me. I said almost a deal breaker because if whatever you're recording does not emit light source, then it's alright. But if you are recording, let's say your phone, your computer monitor, street lights, or anything that has lights, and you cannot match the frequency of the light with your phone, then you will see the phone or the lights on your screen will start to flicker, and that obviously is a deal breaker. So you can get a huge variety of apps from both app stores, and the quality of the apps, I would say they are evenly matched, so you're not going to be losing out if you are using Samsung or if you are using the iPhone. For backups on the iPhone, you can use iCloud and it works really well. They have plans for 50 gigs, 200 gigs, and the next storage tier is 2 terabytes, which is significantly more expensive compared to 200 gigs, which is the plan that I'm using here. So this will allow you to back up all the apps, including files. When it comes to backing up your Samsung device, it's not that straightforward. You can use Samsung Cloud and Google Drive to back up your device. Let's see what it actually backs up. So it backs up call logs, messages, contacts, calendar, clock, settings, home screen, and apps. It does not back up your photos or the files in your internal storage. So what that means is, if you lose this phone and you buy a new phone, you can restore your home screen, all the apps, your contacts, your calendar, but your files will all be lost unless you back them up separately somewhere else. So it says here that I'm using 60 gigs of internal storage. So if I lose my phone, this 60 gigs of files will be gone. So I have to back up these files manually myself, and to do so I would just copy all those files onto either Microsoft OneDrive or Google Drive. You can also connect Dropbox to the Samsung file browser, so you can connect Dropbox, Google Drive, or OneDrive to the file browser. My recommendation is not to use the internal storage at all if you can. So for example, if you are downloading some files, videos, PDFs, just save them directly onto Microsoft OneDrive straight away, so that in the event that you lose your phone, all your files will still be available from Microsoft OneDrive. So that's the difference between the backup system on Apple iPhone versus a Samsung phone. On the Apple iPhone, they would back up everything for you automatically, whereas on the Samsung phone, they would back up the phone specific stuff for you automatically, but for photos and for your downloaded files, you have to back them up manually yourself. If you don't have cloud storage, the other option is to transfer all your files out to an external storage. My preference is to use cloud storage because that way all my files are online on the cloud and I can access all those files from my phone, tablet, or any computer. In terms of value for money, you just get more value, more features with the Samsung phone. You have fingerprint unlock, you have proper file management, you have USB-C port that can let you use your phone as an external storage. If you want to connect an external display to your phone, you can do so because there is Samsung DeX. If you want to increase storage, the pricing is very reasonable. Video recording capability for all three phones excellent, so there is really no advantage when it comes to using the iPhone. If you care about resale value, the iPhones do have better resale value. In terms of how difficult it is to sell the phones, well, phones from Samsung and Apple, they are very popular, so you won't have any difficulty selling the phones, just that with the iPhones, you get a higher resale value. Now, the best time to buy a Samsung phone is actually a few months after the release. Sometimes you can get good discounts, or sometimes there can be really good promotions going on. For the iPhone, the price is fixed on the launch date, and that price will not fluctuate much until the next iPhone is announced. So there is no good or bad time to buy an iPhone. In terms of value for money, it's always better to buy a refurbished or a second-hand phone, which is what I usually buy. So the Samsung phones at their original retail price, they provide good value compared to the iPhone. When they are discounted, they provide even better value. And if you can buy them at good second-hand prices, you get like terrific value over the iPhone. So for example, this phone here that I bought for about 700 Singapore dollars, this can do a lot more and has the same performance as the iPhone, but the iPhone is $1,200. That's the second-hand price out there right now. 700 Sing dollars versus 1,200 Sing dollars, and they do the same thing. Obviously, this provides a much better value. And also, if you want to sell this in the future, if you bought this secondhand at $700, you can sell this for $500. You lose maybe $200. You buy this at $1,200, you sell this at $900 or $800, you lose $300 or $400. Yes, the resale value is higher, but the more expensive the phone, the more loss you will incur when it comes to selling. In terms of value for money between the different Samsung phones that I have mentioned, you get the best value with the Samsung Note 20, followed by the S21 or the S21 Plus, depending on which display size you want. As for the S21 Ultra, it's more expensive, and there is this 10x zoom, which personally for me I don't find it that useful. So I don't know, if you do need the 10x zoom, then it could be worth your money, but if you don't need that, the Note 20, S21 and S21 Plus, they offer better value for money compared to this. So if you really want the best value for your money and you don't want to be locked in the Apple ecosystem, go with the Samsung phone. And I'm saying that even though I use an iPhone myself. Samsung phone do provide better value for money.